multiple buckets. Like these are orders which are completely open, which does not have ACE and receipts in the system, and how we are going to convert those orders. So those were fine because whichever order for which there is no shipment in the system, what we are going to do is we are going to convert in Oracle, and then Oracle will have the expense profile in the system. We'll have the ELC calculated, and post go live when we are expecting the actual shipment to flow down from Mondial, right? With the master bill number and all those details, the ASN will get created in the system, and then the receipt and all the other ALC finalization and all the other process will happen, right? So we don't really have an issue with completely open orders, unless anybody has any questions.
No, but Tony, I think this is based on the meeting we had with the business last week. This is probably what we want to do, is take them through this and say, this is what we were thinking. How do they feel about that? Right? And then work out whether we need to do something different. If you're talking, Tony, you're on mute. Or you might not be talking.
I'm always talking, Kylie. So sorry. So yeah, this is there's various aspects they want to know, but this is like one of the timing things they're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we take this and then we build on it with them. Yeah.
Yep. We're gonna have to do a lot of that.
Cool. Yep. Keep going, Vinod. Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, so open FOB orders with invoices, this as well we don't have an issue because we'll just consume the invoice, and anything with respect to ASN and receipt post go live, things will start getting integrated, and yeah, we'll go with the flow. We'll get the ASN, we'll get the obligation, we'll do the receipt, and then we'll do the LC finalization, and it's again a happy path. So we don't have an issue.
So the only thing with that is the invoice that we're talking about is just the stock invoice, and we need to be able to make sure that we can, because it will potentially be part of the the age trial balance for AP. So they're the ones that will not be paid. I'm just trying to talk this through, Vinod. So they will be still not paid, but what we want to do is leave it in AP. Bring it in, because we're not going to send it across again, are we? We just need it. This is the bit I'm not sure of.
We'll convert it as prepaid is what we discussed that time.
Yep.
So the reason why we did this, if we mark it as prepaid, we are not going to post the entire invoice. We are only going to post the discrepancies.
Yes, so we want to can we just make a note under where it says invoice converted as prepaid?
Yeah.
That it basically it won't post to the you've already done that prepaid indicator, so it won't be sent to financials, but it will be part of the age trial balance in AP already from that data migration. Safe, am I making sense?
What is this age trial?
So in
as
AP,
long as you are clear on that.
It's the all the open items that are sitting in AP. So it will be sitting there because we haven't paid it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it does make sense.
Okay, so basically, I'm trying to understand. So once we get the receipt, we are going to match it. So we are not going to post anything to AP then. In a happy scenario where there are no discrepancies, so the payment of these will be taken care in AP, right? Because it's already there in AP. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the only time that we might post something was if there was a discrepancy and we need to do an RFC or something like that. But again, these are FOB, so we kind of deal with them slightly differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You don't need any reply message back once the payment is done in AP in ORI?
No.
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So once it is matched and posted, that's it. Like that's a terminal status in ORI, and then it's all done in AP. So the third one is open orders, no receipts. When the invoice and receipts are, this is local orders. So local orders, we don't have an ASN. So this is as well, there are no issues with this.
And sorry, just to, so on that, so Tony, there won't be any problems with the business around the local ones. They'll just be open orders, right? So we're all good with that, hey? Because we're not worried about the ELC and that kind of thing. We're good. I'll take his silence as yeah, we're good. Cool.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, I'm agreeing. Yeah, they're not FOB, so
Yeah.
The only thing that might come up is the royalty one, which they've got.
Yeah, I've made a note about that here. So
small volume.
So VJ, I thought the business was stopping this.
What was that? Sorry,
the royalty on local orders. I thought
Tony. I did drop you a note on that because I really need to understand who's doing it, because Bevan's not aware of that. So he said that there shouldn't be anyone doing that anymore.
Yeah,
and I've got real concerns around the whole process. Like it has to be really documented around, that royalty piece. And yeah, if we can just pick that one up offline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
I actually spoke to Bevan about it last week as well, and to get the reason why people are doing it, and it's basically I understand why. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, so just on that, if we are not doing it, Vijay, we can make some changes to our ELC interface as well, because just for the local orders, just for the royalty, we are doing some extra processing, because our current understanding is that local orders can have royalty, so we have to calculate ELC, right? So if it is not the case, then yeah, we can make some changes to our ELC interfaces as well, which will which will make it much faster.
And Tui will need to know this as well, because we've got a piece of work around this.
Yeah.
So I think VJ and Tony, if you guys can have that chat sooner rather than later, so we can make sure either it is something we need to cater for, or we can just move on and not worry about it. Cool.
Okay, cool.
Hey, no problem. Make a note.
Sanjay's got his hand up. Sorry, before we keep going.
Yeah. Just a clarification here. So the royalty items can be on the local orders as well, right? So why we are excluding this royalty calculation from the local orders?
No, Sanjay, the guys need to talk about it and actually really understand whether this is still happening and why it's happening, how it happens, and then at that point we'll make a decision about whether we still have to worry about it or we don't. So don't worry about anything at the moment. Let VJ and Tony have their conversation.
Okay, fine.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
For the Vinod, for the local orders, the fully open where there is no receipt, would it be marked as prepayment as yes? Or will it go from retail to finance?
You're talking about the next scenario, right? Yeah.
No. The previous scenario, the fully open POs where there's no receipt.
Yeah.
So
Open local orders with no receipt with invoice. This is no invoice, so this is with invoice.
Yeah, the one with without a receipt.
Yeah. So here, I don't think we need to mark it as prepaid. Kylie, is that? I'm not sure. Yeah, whether this is a valid scenario itself, I'm not sure.
So this could be where the invoices come in
via EDI.
And it's sitting in held.
Okay.
So it'll form part of the HL balance from the AP side, but these are the ones that kind of need to come in because it hasn't been receipted yet and it's in that held status. So we need to I think we do need to bring these ones in, but they can't go across as prepaid because we need them to match so we can pay them. The only ones that should be prepaid are really the FOB ones because a lot of those won't be due for like 120 days, for example.
So I have already marked it here before during our conversation. So what you're saying is this invoices will not be part of the age trial balance in AP, right? So this needs to get, once it is matched after the receipt, what we are going to do is we'll match this in the system. We'll post the invoice to AP and then AP will take care of the payment.
Yeah, that's yes.
So do I need to update that as a decision here? It shouldn't be converted as prepaid? Because as per our last conversation, yeah, I've already noted this. Can this invoice go to finance and approve payment before the receipt? If yes, this has to be converted as prepaid.
Well, only if it's. But if it hasn't been receipted, it doesn't get matched currently.
Yeah, yeah.
Like from JDE, or even, if it's past the match, even for TWL, if it's past the match up process, then that's a different scenario, right? But hold on, my brain.
No, so basically the difference, Kylie, say for example, if it is prepaid, you can still do the matching in ORI, but ORI is not going to post the entire invoice to AP. ORI will just post the difference, right?
Yeah, but
Because
but the way that they're sitting in AP, like if they're either, whether it's TUI or JDE, not TUI, God, my blimey. If
Yeah,
it's
watch it.
EBS. Sorry, there's too many systems. Even so, if the invoice, right, had gone through the matchup process for TWL or had gone through the three-way matching for JDE, they would effectively be matched and they would be sitting in AP. So therefore,
okay.
the only way they can get through that is there would have to be a receipt. So this line says it's an open local order, no receipts, but there is an invoice. So in my mind, I'm thinking the only reason there's an invoice is because they're sitting in that held status. They haven't matched in JDE and they haven't completed the match up process properly. So therefore, we need to bring them in so they can match when we get the receipt.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
That sounds right.
Okay.
Because
Kavya,
basically you'll be looking for the receipt.
Got you,
Post-
yes,
post-
Vinod.
Post the
Thank you.
invoice.
okay, so I think the next one is the one that we have to. Okay, these
Can
are
I
the
just,
ones.
sorry, Vinod,
Yep.
can I just say one
Mhm.
more thing on that other one?
Yep.
So Kavya, one of the things we'll have to start looking at is because they will form part of that open items for AP. I definitely know for JDE, they, even if the invoice is in that held status, it is part of the age trial balance for AP and JDE. So we just need to probably dig a bit deeper into that. So just a heads up, yeah.
Okay, fine, Kylie. Keep a note of it.
Okay. Are we okay to move on to the next one? I think this is the trickier scenario. So where we have an open FOB orders, there are no receipts, but these are orders for which there is a shipment message which is received by TUI from Mondial. So Mondial has sent the SH event. So that means there is an advance shipment notice available in TUI. So what we decided on this is, I'm just looking at the latest one. There are a lot of comments. So what we decided is that because when we decided this 6 months before, we didn't have the concept of master bill number and everything. So what we decided is we are not going to convert the ASN into ORI, and hence when the obligations are going to come, so post go live, when the obligation comes from Mondial via integration, it is going to come against master bill number. Because ORA does not have the master bill number, it will just fail in the integration layer, which is fine because we don't want, because we don't know for these shipments whether TWG already got some obligations and it's already gone to finance, right? So that part we don't have that data. So what we decided is we'll not convert ASN. Instead, we will get a dummy component from TUI with all the cost components associated with that order, so that when the order is received in ORI, we will calculate the estimated landed cost based on it. Maybe just to make it a little easier, I'll try to put it in an Excel sheet.
Yeah, could you? Because like I'm
Yeah,
lost.
yeah, there are too many info. I know
Yeah,
that.
that's just way.
So
Yeah.
So I'll just put day one, the order has been created, right? So order created for $10,000, right? So
Mhm.
day 20, day 30, SH event happened, right? So while, so what we are doing is on day 40, we are converting, right? Cut over. So TUI has this information, right? And what we decided is we are not going to convert this AS into Oracle. Between this day 30 or between day one and cutover, there could be some obligation like freight invoices or some invoices for this order, which would have already come to TWG finance system. So we don't have that data, is my understanding, Kylie. Correct me if I'm wrong, because we don't know some obligation would have been already available in TWG, right?
Yeah,
We have
they're not
given it
easy
to
to
you
find. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
that
Julie.
in our extracts. We've given you total shipping costs on our ORDV, which is at ASN level.
Yeah,
So there is a total shipping costs, and if they have been spread across the lines, the actual portion for each line is in the ORDLQ file as cost sheet. So there is some information in the files. And
yes.
what we're doing is if there's been stuff that come in that hasn't been spread yet, like we haven't done cost sheets for, we're doing that as we're queuing those just before the data migration so they get spread. So there is information there.
There's
So
definitely
Vinod,
stuff from you from TUI, Julie, but what I think Vinod was meaning was that we couldn't pull. It's hard for us to pull out the actual invoices, for
yeah.
example, because because if stuff's gone through Cooper, there's no order numbers. Like it's not that easy to get it back to the order. So which is why I think we decided that if there was shipping information in TUI, which is what you were talking about, that you guys would do what you're doing, because we wouldn't know which invoices relate. So Tony, this is something we need to explain as well, because I just have no idea how we would like if it's already past that SH event, right? It's on the water effectively, is kind of what we've understood. So what are we like trying to find those invoices or those obligations, especially if they've gone into Cooper, is really difficult to
Yeah,
get it back to the PO level.
yeah, I didn't think we could do it. So what we were talking about, Julie, was basically we've created a effectively like a PO clearing account for this period of time. So when these orders come in, they're not going to effectively go through the whole ORI matching part. They're going to end up in a different GL mapping, and
Yeah.
It's going to be like very similar to what we do today. So the only bit now that I've heard Julie talking is about does the shipping element get how does the shipping element of that purchase order get attached, which we don't, I mean, we don't push, we don't, so I'll just have to think about it a little bit more, because before when I was thinking about it, I didn't think it was really a big thing, because we already had the ELC effectively set for these things in TUI. I'll just have to map it out a little bit, do some debits and credits on it.
But that's the thing I think we need to think about, Tony, is so what we would be assuming, and then I'll just jump in if this is wrong,
Yeah.
is that day one when the order was created, for example, when we took that order at cutover, we would effectively potentially recalculate the ELC. Is that right? Or not? Are we going to lock it in? So this is the
Yeah. So what we are going to do in this case, Kylie, is So when we are going to convert this order, we are going to convert this order expense with the dummy component, right? With all, say for example, the total order cost is $10,000. With this dummy component, TUI is providing us, say, uh, 3,000 is the expenses, right? So that 3,000 expenses will be uh, at this dummy component, and for this order, this will be the only component available for ELC. So what will happen is, assuming that it's just one item, it will be like 13,000 will be the ELC. So day 45, right, when it is received in ORI, which is post go live, what we'll do is we'll calculate, um, we'll receive based on this component that we have, right? So when we
Mm,
receive it, the WAC will be 13,000.
yeah.
In day one, you won't be sending us an ELC, so what we've already calculated,
Yeah, because this is
we'll
post cutover,
use.
right? Yeah, we don't have any. Yeah, we're not sending anything at this time, right? Because we are cutting over
Yeah.
only on day 40.
Yeah, that's why this is effectively this is like GM leak, the last bit of GM leak, Kylie, because we're going to have to do some work and figure out what we're going to see as the order value coming through in order to get the right kind of ELC component value for them.
Yeah,
to,
but that's.
to apply.
Yeah, but I'm wondering whether we rethink this slightly after some other conversations that have been had. Is that TUI has an ELC, right? That was put in. That's there. So, and I
And
don't
at
know.
day 30, we've probably got a cost sheet as well. It's probably
Yeah.
already spread it across the
Yeah.
line. If we don't get an ELC from Oracle, then we will use that cost sheet along with the unit cost.
But
That's
Um,
but
yeah.
day 30 though, Julie, from what I understood from shipping, that cost sheet doesn't come from Mondial until the goods have landed here, like
Oh,
at the
okay.
port. So at day 30, if that's just the SH event, we won't know. You won't have that. The only ELC I think you'll have will be the ELC that the
original.
buyer entered, right?
Yeah.
Which, Tony, maybe that's what we need to take.
That's
That's
one thing we could take, or what we could actually do is basically take the standard. Now catching up this now. Take the standard costs that basically TUI would apply, and just reapply it to these this list of orders. So we've got two ways to do it. We've got three ways to do it. In fact, we can use a component to increase the ELC to get it up. We can override it and look at what is in TUI for the costing, and then go into each of these and just override it again. Or we can use the buyer's ELC.
So I think, Vinod, we leave this. So Marie, I think just with Vinod's Excel, is that making more sense? But also, I think we leave what we've said in the Confluence page, and then we need to have that conversation with the business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we make any changes, right? Because I think there's a
we
few ways
just-
now we could cut it.
Yeah, just
So-
trying to work out when we turn things on, when we turn things off, when we make sure we're no longer calculating ELCs. I'm just a bit worried about this.
Well,
Haze.
actually, that comment, Marie, because we know what's going to go through ORI in terms of the purchase orders, they will get updated in a new fashion, and it's only really in terms of cutoff the old ones prior to this that we need to list, and we need to manage as they effectively flow in, and make sure we get the right cost representation that comes through. It's a bad time of year though, because it's pre-Christmas, so the volume is high. That's the complication.
So we'll just make sure we get some reports so we're not missing anything and things like that. That's what I'm thinking about. It's like, making sure we get the coverage and all that beautiful stuff.
And then Julie's point is we've already got things that kind of identified the cost components in TUI already. So if we overlay that will give us a really good a good chance to make sure they're all right and there's no gaps, because we've done something similar before. Okay, right, I'm thinking about that now. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to add some more point, just so that we are all clear on how it is going to play out, right? For these orders which has got SH event. So day 15 receipt is happening, which is getting integrated, right? So we'll receive based on the total order cost plus whatever dummy component that we have. So 13K will be the WAC. So post this day 40 cutover, because we are turning on the integration for obligation, right? We might get some obligation from Mondial or some from the other partners. Obviously, the other partners we haven't automated now. So when that comes into the system, because we don't have the MBIL number, it will just fail in the system, fail in the integration layer. We don't want those obligations to come to ORI, because if that comes to ORI, what will happen is, because obviously those obligations are going to come at a different component, right? Because this is a dummy component, and the obligation which comes actually can be um, a component which is, say, freight invoice or some insurance or whatever, right? So those we don't want those invoices to come to ORI, right? So that will happen only for those orders which are for which the ASN is coming to ORI from day one. So any orders which has got SH event, we'll have to handle it this way, right? We
Yeah.
need to get a dummy component, and then post receipt we'll have the WAC. We're not going to finalize ALC in ORI for these orders.
No, and I think that's a quite an important point that we need to be clear on, because, and I think that's what I was saying before, for these guys, actually finding those actual invoices, whether they're already in Oracle or not, or in Cooper or whatever, is actually really difficult. So I think this is the only way we can do that.
Okay.
But we just have to get that costing, Tony, around the ELC kind of nutted out, because again, these are still going to form part of GM Leak, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
how we have to kind of think of this bit is actually the bit Vinod's talking about is like the backup value, and we can go in because we have the predefined list that we're looking at. We can go in and we can work out in advance of day 45 what that should be. So if we take the approach that Judy mentioned, because we know that we've got standard costs arriving, effectively we kind of treat it like we do today, and we know that everything that goes into the non-merchandise account will be old school GM leak that will eventually have to get cleared out at the half year. Yeah, there'll probably be a few rotations of this as we monitor this list of orders in transit down. Or sorry, orders in transit. Yeah.
So once we go live, our shipping cost form will be read only. You'll be able to see the costs.
Will be what only? Sorry, Judy.
Read only, inquiry only, because yeah, so that won't be a problem.
But won't it be blank ones after we go live, because we won't be getting any more?
You won't be getting any new ones, but you'll be able to look at the ones that were sort of
in
the middle of, which is sort of what we're thinking.
Yeah.
So these ones.
Yeah,
and we got tables of costs, so we should be able to populate it. And then what we can actually do is go back into ORI and actually go into the expense, overwrite the 3,000, for instance, to the value that we want to get it a bit closer.
But then that has to be done before we do any receipt.
Yeah, I think we need to. Yeah, I think we need to be careful with that, Tony, because the cutover and then trying to manage that while we're going live with all the new stuff. I think we need to think that through.
Yeah.
Because how are we going to keep on top of that? Well, I don't know that we can. That's why
I don't think so, right? Because the moment you turn on integration, you'll start getting receipts. So you won't even get time to update the dummy component.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah, but I think your point though we need to. I think this is the bit we need to work through, Tony. Is what do we do? Like, how do we get that ELC at cutover to be something that we're happy with when it receipts, right? Because what we'll be missing is that day 40 cutover. If it's not receipted, the chances are Tui's not going to have the standard costs, right? Because based on the information from shipping, they don't come through until they kind of land. But I guess that's the bit we've got to work out how we can get that information or do something to bring it as close as possible to kind of like today. Yeah. Which I think we know, because we know what how those standard costs make up. So maybe we'll have to do what Mondial does ourselves or something. I don't know. For these cutover orders. Anyway, I think we'll have to workshop it, I think, a lot.
Okay. So basically what we're saying, I mean, obviously we don't know what all obligations came in before. So we are not converting ASN. We are not converting obviously obligation for these invoices because we don't have the data. And when we receive it, we need to work out on how this dummy component value will match near to the actual WAC, right? Actual expenses, so that when we received it, this WAC will be somewhat near to the original WAC, right? That's what we're saying. We are not converting ASN, though TOI has the master bill number now because of other dependencies like obligation invoices. We are not converting ASN.
Yeah, because I think if we do convert ASNs, it'll be more complicated, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So what
Yeah.
will happen is, because we'll turn on the integration for obligation. So some of these obligations might come, right, for these orders. It will be in the system, and then system will consider those as additional expenses, right? Say for example, in this case, you came up with an EL expense of $3,000 and 10,000 is original cost, right? Assume that we are converting ASN with all the master bill number and everything, and day 41 we'll get an obligation for $2,000, which is a new component, right? The system will add that 2000 with this 3000. And then when the user finalizes that ALC, then that extra expenses, extra invoices will get adjusted into the WAC.
That's a problem because we will have overinflated it now.
Yeah. And again, I mean, otherwise the user will have to, because all the obligation we are going to convert it as pending status, but the user will have to know this order is something that we shouldn't approve, this order we should approve, and yeah, it's going to be too much of manual work.
So just so I'm clear, Vinod, so what we're saying is if we don't convert the ASNs, which is what we kind of originally decided, and we bring it in at we work out how we're going to deal with the ELC, we'll just that's what it'll get receipted at, and these orders in particular will never actualize. So when we turn on the obligations, if one comes through with that order number or that master bill, it'll just fail. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, because we don't have that master bill number record in the system, it will just fail in the integration, and it is expected because we want that to fail. We don't want that to come to the system.
So that's when someone's going to need to check and go, right, have we got it in AP ready to pay? Or
exactly.
And if we don't, then it'll just get entered straight into AP and it will go across and help with the GM leak offsetting thing.
Yeah.
Is that right, Tony? Am I kind of under?
Yeah, we'll have to understand, we'll have to recognize what's not being converted so that we can basically pay it and post it to the account, to this dummy account that we've got going.
Okay, I think let's leave it as it is now.
Okay.
And then Tony, we're gonna have to try and work out how we work some numbers through with this. Maybe with the conversation we have with Belinda first, and then we'll work out what we do next year.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how someone in AP would know. Yeah, we'd have to manually post those.
Yeah, if they fail, they'll get a list of failures, and they'll have to go and see whether it's already in AP as an open item, right, or paid. And then if it isn't, then they'll have to enter it. But that's probably the least of my worry. It's more about making sure our ELC and stuff is what we need at cutover.
Yeah, we want a good representation. So the gap between what would have been expected and what's happening now. So what's going to happen isn't too large.
Okay.
So, okay, I'll mention those additional stuff. Any questions from anyone? I can see Archana, you have joined. Any questions? Kavya, do you have any questions? Kavya, Sanjay?
Vinod, maybe we will need some more understanding on seeing how we will bring in the POs for every scenario. Maybe we'll need a discussion. So I'll discuss on this with Sanjay and get back to you, Vinod.
Okay. When you say bringing in PO from basically the filtering that you have to do from the source system.
Right, right. That's what
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I'll put some more points on the master, like the decision, not the decision. Yeah, whatever we have discussed now, that master bill number or the ASN will not be converted, and post integration, post cut go live, when the obligations are coming in at a master bill number, it will just fail in the integration, and then um, AP user will have to basically check if that obligation is already there in AP. If not, they have to enter that so that the GM leak related issues are fixed up.
Yes. So then, so that whole thing that everyone was saying we needed ASNs, safe. I don't know that we do.
Yeah, I mean, see, if we have all the data, right, we could have done that, like when the orders are, so basically in that case, what we'll do, when we convert orders based on the expense profiles, it will create proper ELC in Oracle, and then we will convert the ASN. We have to convert all those obligations using the right component, right fee type, and then post go live. When the receipt comes in, it will calculate the WAC based on the ELC. And then if there are additional obligations coming in, Oracle can consume it and user can finalize the ELC. But the thing is, we don't have that data. That's why we are going with this approach. I mean, converting ASN is now possible because TOI has the master bill number and the container and everything. But then I guess the main thing that we are missing is between this day 1 and day 40, we don't know what all obligations are available in the system against this order.
Yeah. And if we do bring the ASN, then that means we have to go through that process, right? Or
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, it will be too much of a manual work. It's not really bringing any value by bringing ASN, right? The basic, if you are bringing the ASN in, then that means, yeah, we need to bring the obligation and user can do the ALC finalization for these orders as well. Otherwise, bringing in ASN will just add more confusion.
so, Tony, are you
Just
okay?
I'm just thinking.
I mean, if
So
you need more, yeah, I mean, we can discuss more on this, but yeah, that's how it is.
yeah, so really we're just saying that we're not going to create we're not going to have all the costs for the transportation to create to match off, and we're just going to have to pick them up manually and post them like we do today.
Well, we could have already had them. We could have already had some though, Tony, and we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know how to apply them back. That's
they would,
yeah.
But they'd be sitting in part of the balance that we're going to have left over until we get to the half year and clear it out. So this is just additional values that would go.
So maybe, yeah, maybe we can simulate, we can try that scenario as well, right? I mean, if at all, if you're interested.
I think we'd only be interested if we could effectively upload like a dummy ASN directly ourselves. That's how we would do it. So effectively, we'd have our. So what would happen, Kylie, is we'd be replicating what we've got in TUI, I feel, just to get an ASN population on the order. But I don't know if we can do it because there's so many other things that come into play, like the way it would. Is it just total numbers, Vinod? So if, say, I had a freight cost, I could have the order and put I could have the bill and I could put the total freight cost against that bill and then the total cartage cost and whichever other cost I wanted in order to consume as a dummy ASN.
Not dummy ASN, like dummy obligation, right? So yeah,
dummy obligation, sorry.
Yeah. So say for example, when we create this order, as part of the expense profile, we would have had say 10 different components, right? Freight, admin charges, blah, blah, blah. And for whatever components you got the physical or the original invoice from the partner or the suppliers, those needs to be converted. So the one more thing is currently we don't have a mass upload functionality for obligation. Yeah, that's,
I'll do it then.
if at all you have the data, we need to just come up with some script, but that is still possible. But again, the question is, do you have that data?
No, it's all standard. It's all standard rates. So we've got it, but it's not actuals like you would expect for an obligation. It's just it's not. They're not.
It's again ELC, right? It's again ELC. Yeah.
It's again. It's our version of an ELC.
Okay.
Or ALC, I should say, our version of ALC. Okay. All right. I have to think about it a bit more, but I can't see how we can, if we haven't got the ability to upload it, Kylie, and closer to the time, we'd be having to figure out how to you say script it, Vinod, but really what you're really talking about is we'd put in our version of a standard cost, which we know is inflated. But I suppose what we could actually do, Kylie, is we could look at the orders created and try and forecast where the actual would be using our new view of the estimator. But I don't. Yeah,
I mean, for that we don't have any. Yeah, sorry, Tony. For that, whatever you are saying, right? The coming up with an estimation, we don't have to do anything. So whatever that's what we have decided now, right? What I was saying is, if in case you have the actual values, so these are the steps that we'll follow versus what we have decided currently. So currently, what you're saying is, yes, for this order, $10,000 is order cost, and you will come up with a expense of 3,000, right? And then we are going to load against that order as a dummy component. And then when we receive it, we'll just use that as the ELC. And then that will be updated as a WAC.
Yep, I think so. And then what's going to happen with the actuals is we're just going to offset them to that ELC non-merchant account.
There'll be no actuals in ORI for these. It'll just be the WAC, and then you'll have to run it at like the GM leak offset stuff, like because the invoices we're assuming will have either been posted into finance already, or we'll have to post them in if they're not there manually.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
So we won't do any actualization whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Fusion side because you say that, but correct me, Vinod, if I'm wrong. When those orders come in and they get receipted, basically it's going to go debit WAC, credit non-merchant clearing.
Debit WAC. Archana, can you? It's a debit credit question.
You mean stock on hand, Tony?
Yeah.
With the WAC value, yeah.
To that particular account that we're effectively using as our to hold the credits. Yeah. That
we've connected to that dummy component.
That's it.
Yeah, we don't have the actual component, we have the dummy component. Yeah.
So the idea is that we pile in the credits in there, and then when the invoices come through, the ones that we can't obviously match or that's already come in, the debits of those would go in to clear, or vice versa. we take the clearing values there and we put it to the old. Actually, when we translate the stock accounts over, we'll have to we'll just have to do some clearing in finance to basically match them off.
Manual.
Yeah, I've got it. Manual. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, at the end of the month. Safe.
Yeah, I'll have to explain that to the accountants.
But this is what we need, Tony. We need to take the business through this and make sure they're happy with that's how we're going to cut off, because that's one of the workshops we have to have, right, with the business. But this is the plan, right? So the plan was exactly what Vinod's saying, what we were thinking. Now, if they want us to do something different, then we'll have to discuss what that is. But I mean, the fundamental issue we have is that if there are any invoices for any of the expenses that have been received prior to cutover, it may be very difficult for us to apply those at an order level because we don't always enter the order number for them. So we do for freight. Yeah, that's done, especially the US dollar freight. But cartage, we don't. Cartage is entered into Cooper. There's no reference back to the PO and TUI. Anything that goes through Mondial is entered into Cooper, and there's no reference back to the PO. You know what I mean? So we don't have a way to say this invoice that we've already got that is an open item or we've paid it in finance already relates to these orders that haven't come in yet. That's our problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just had a eureka moment on the cartage. So if we've got an effective cutoff date, we could ask the cartage supplier to basically split the invoice, and that would at least minimize the so if he split the invoice, say on the 15th of the month or something like that, say it's our cutover date, then that would mean that he would capture everything pre-cutover, and so then I could isolate this. Then I could isolate that part, and then the second part, most of that would potentially be for. Oh no, that won't work. Sorry. I'll be quiet again. Sorry, because the tail of this is actually quite long, so that won't work at all.
There was another thing I didn't understand. When you match against the expenses and you're left with a difference in the clearing account, how do you know how much of that difference to allocate to what?
To what particularly safe? Because
So,
we just at the moment what happens is we have different accounts, but we just rely on our stock system valuation, and the GL is just combined up to one value.
okay. So you revert, or you just reverse the entire difference amount back to that account?
Yeah. So the idea would be that where basically these items are coming in with their ELC value, and we've got the credit in this holding account, we would take the value that we've already done up to that particular date, and that would be the value that we would push into the trial balance, and then these credits would effectively
reverse that,
reverse some of those charges, and then the other part is obviously if we've got costs coming through that don't relate to ORI obligations, then they have to get manually posted to that account in order to reduce it more. And then what will happen is at the very end, and there's no more orders in progress, whatever's left over is the last piece of known GM leak for this particular process.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you, because it made me think about it more.
I have a question. So looking at the mail from Julie, right, there's a mention of 16,000 orders. So all these orders, is it like the total open orders, or it is the orders which has got an SH event? I'm just trying to understand what is the volume of SH orders.
Oh, I'd have to look that up. These are the orders that have had some shipping costs entered.
Okay.
that haven't yet been spread across the lines. So we wanted to spread them before we extracted the data for you, so we could give you the cost sheet value for an order line.
Okay.
But there was a whole lot that just had commission, sort of, I think, older ones too. I think sometimes commission was getting entered on the header but never spread. And so we ignored those. I was just sort of concerned that in the past they had never been spread for a reason, that we wouldn't want
Okay.
to do those. So we're queuing a cost sheets, like in this example, we queued 1,098 cost sheets to spread
Okay.
shipping costs that have been entered so that they would then appear in the data migration in the right place. But
Okay.
you're not always going to be using those. Are there any situations where you're going to use the costs that we pass? Or was it just that one scenario we were talking about where you won't use it,
So
like
we
when
are,
the SH events
yeah.
happened?
So if the order is completely open, Oracle, yeah, we don't need that, right? So only for the SH1 is what we are talking about. So I wanted to know, like even when we do the cutover, what will be the approximate volume of orders, right? So those many orders, we'll have to somehow handle it manually, isn't it? Because there could be some obligation coming in for those orders, and it is going to fail, and then some like it's going to be manual.
Yeah, so I guess potentially it could have been those 1,098 because
Okay.
That's actually a really good point about the quantity and the timing. So when do the orders that go in ORI, what's the criteria at the beginning? Because I've always thought of these as orders where we're not actually really going to get, but where effectively they're over the rail and they're in transit, so we're not really going to get the messaging. But if they haven't got to the port first, then we've got the ability to load them up. Is that right? I'm just wondering about the volume, about the points in the life cycle of the order.
So from a TUI perspective, for extracting all the purchase orders with a confirmed status,
Okay.
and and we include any invoice payments that have been made. There's values there that Caviar can tell if there's been any partial payments or not, because some of the confirmed orders may have had an earlier shipment that's been paid, and then there's a shipment too that hasn't been paid. So we're taking all confirmed open purchase orders, and I just need to look at, like in our T2E, the 3rd of July. I'll just look and see how many that was.
So Kavya, when these orders are being sent to ORI, you're only for those orders for which there is an SH event. That's where you're building the component, right? I forgot the name of that component. There is an SCH component that we've defined. So how are you identifying orders which has got an SH event?
So this isn't the data migration file. This is just a file we're using for our script. So
Okay.
the data that we actually send has got a lot more in it
Okay.
than that. I could bring one of those files up. So this one here's all the open order delivery headers. So this is where it's the
Okay.
order number and the /1 and the /2 type thing. So
So
this,
anything which has got an ASN, that means it's a SH, right? Or can the SH
yeah,
even before the SH?
we're only putting this ASN data into the file if an SH has happened. So not all of
Okay.
them have had SHs.
Cool.
So this has got a Y if there's an SH, and the shipment ID, what we call the ASN. And at the end here, we've got the master bill number if it's come in. And this column I've got yellow is the total shipping costs for that, this particular row. So we are sending that information in this particular run. So this is the file from the 3rd of July system, and there were
You've got event codes too, Julie, in column DP.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, because you've got your DCs, because the DC means it's landed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's why they'll have some shipping costs, I would have thought.
Yeah. So initially we just had the column, we put a Y in if the shipping event had been received, and then Caviar got us to add some stuff later on, like these extra shipping dates, departure dates. And in the end, we just sent the event code so she can see. She needed to know if it was in the DC or the port. So we ended up adding this later.
Maybe what we need to do, Julie, is because most of us have to get to another meeting as well. But I wonder whether we need to go through this file, and Tony, definitely you need to be as part of this, and just understand what information's available at those different event codes, because I think that's going to be the key to us determining what we bring in terms of the shipping costs and what we don't. Because like a BK, for example, that $11.55, I don't know what that is, but a BK means it's just booked, right? So I would assume that we would, ORI would take that on, and then the ELC and so on and so forth, if you know what I mean. But I guess like we discussed, anything from SH after that, we want those shipping costs. But have we got a complete set? I don't know. Yeah. Shall I schedule another meeting, Julie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can put in the chat the SharePoint link to this file.
That would be good.
Everything at the 3rd of July. And yeah. Because the other thing in TUI, TUI allows orders to be completed even if they haven't been paid. I don't know what you're expecting with those, whether we should be including them or not. Will ORI be trying to pay those and match them? It's just that there's a whole heap of old orders that have never been paid, and a lot of them are these dummy orders. It's like if we did have to look at completed orders, then we'd need to come up with some parameters. Yeah, that's another topic, another meeting. Yes.
Okay, so maybe just to wrap up, I think I'll schedule another meeting. Vinod, we'll pick up from where we left off, and we'll go through this. And Julie, if you can just share the link on SharePoint to this spreadsheet, and then I think we just keep discussing. So I'll see if there is some time later this week for us to continue, because it's quite important, I think. Failing that, I'll try to get it in early next week. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
And are there some scenarios we'll be creating ASNs and shipping? Is it worth us carrying on with modifying our extract to include everything you think we need to do that?
I'm not sure, Julie. Maybe we'll know more after the next meeting. I don't know. Can anyone answer that?
What was the question again? Will there be any ASN converted? Is that the question?
Yeah. Will there be any ASN or shipping created?
So basically, the principle, even post go live, the integration principle is that once SH comes, that's when we are creating the ASN, right? So yeah, we should not be converting ASN. If we are converting ASN, then we have to do all the other required data as well. Like we have to convert all the transportation, we have to convert the obligations as well. So that for these orders, we can do ALC finalization.
Yeah, and I think that's the bit that we need to work out where we draw the line. Yeah. Because I think that's we can't always get all that information to be able to complete the process, and then we're going to have a bigger manual job to do.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether we still include it in our files and then it's there and captured as a snapshot at the time of conversion, whether you use it or not.
I think so.
Yeah, okay, then do that, Julie, and then maybe we can
you
look
don't
at
have to use it. It's there.
It's there. It's about
yeah.
having that information there. If we ever
Yep.
need to go back to it, we've got that moment in time. I think that's quite important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because Lisa
Cool.
might have almost done it anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
Well then,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
read. Yeah.
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 Okay. Cool. Better let you go to your other meetings.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.